Today we are going to make some monkfish inserted with garlic, with a fennel cream, with a little bit of white wine, and served with just a regular white rice. It's a very elegant dish, delicious. Welcome to Cooking with Class Recipes. My name is Eric Frodo. I'm a chef. I've been a chef for 30 years, so I've been cooking a lot. With my wife, we own a cooking school in Paris for 13, 14 years now, and we also hold cooking classes in Uzès and soon to come in Seville, Spain. On this series of cooking classes that we're going to put online for you guys, we're going to use a lot of fresh vegetables. It will be fantastic for you to cook for your family. Some of them will be easy and fast and quick for quick lunch, quick dinner. Some of them will be a little bit more complicated, more sophisticated maybe, more challenging for you, but that's also the purpose, is to get to be a better cook. After you've watched the video, something you don't understand, you can always come back to us. So we're going to provide to you some recipes, some footage, a lot of things to watch on the internet. Are you interested? Do you want to cook with us? So to start, the ingredients. You need a good, nice, fresh fennel bulb. You see, this is very fresh. You know it's fresh because this has not been cut too many times, so you have the original shape. And also it's good to have a little bit of those, so it look like dill a little bit, it's the fennel herb. That's pretty cool because you will need it for the decoration of your dish. You need an onion, regular onion, some fresh garlic, cream. So we have crème fraîche today, but it could be heavy cream, no problem. Some butter, salt, pepper and salt as usual, and some olive oil. And of course the monkfish. The monkfish is not, it doesn't have to be the monkfish. What's interesting with the monkfish is the texture of the meat, and we're going to insert the garlic in there. So if you have a thick pieces of halibut, it will also work very well. Maybe some codfish, fresh codfish, also thick. To begin the recipe, the first thing we're going to do is to blanch the garlic. Boiling water, garlic, boom. You don't do that for very long, just a few seconds. The interest of doing that is to get rid of the extra power that the garlic can give you eventually. So just a few seconds, that will be plenty. The garlic has been boiled a little bit, blanched. So now we're going to make some small little chunks like this. You don't want it to be too big inside the fish, but it's half cooked already, so that's pretty cool. It's going to release the garlic flavor, and we're going to have that at the end. So you take one chunk like this, make an incision with your knife, and the big one maybe, and you're going to insert inside the fish. So you do that a few times. So you do this every 1 inch, so everybody will have a little bit of the flavor of the garlic when you can slice or leave the entire pieces of fish here. The fish is ready, so we're going to take care of it later. We're going to seal with a little bit of oil and butter for a few minutes, but we need to work on the fennel cream. First, you need the onion. Take the onion and you slice it very, very thin. Like this. Onions are ready, very thinly sliced. Now we go with the fennel. So for the fennel, you want to remove all those big stems there. They are not really They don't bring anything. Frankly, they are not interesting, except if you grill like a whole fish. It's just pretty interesting to make it very small and stuff the fish with it. You will release some fennel, some anise flavor. But we don't really need it. But we're going to keep that one for the decoration later. Put it on the side. Now, cutting the fennel, the bulb, you cut it in half. Like this, and you see there is that core here that you want to remove because it's tough. It's not really good in terms of flavor, and it takes more time to cook than the rest of the fennel. Then you cut it in half again, so you have quarters, and then we're going to slice it again like we did for the onion, very thin like this. Careful to your finger, you probably need them for later. There you go. The fennel is full of water, so it's going to melt very quickly. But it's also a vegetable who has some sugar in it, so it's going to caramelize a little bit. That sauce has a light brown caramel color, so that's going to be. Your onions are ready, the fennel is ready. Now we're going to start cooking the fennel cream. You need a little bit of butter. You need a bit of olive oil. Olive oil always first, like maybe a tablespoon and a half. Keep the rest for the fish. And then we go with the onion first. What you really want to do at the moment is to sweat your onions. You don't want them to become caramelized too early, but you don't want the water that they have inside. It's very simple. Every time you do onions, most of the or shallots, you have to remove the water, the vegetation water, I don't know if we say that, the water that they have, because that water is a little bitter, doesn't have any good flavor. So you need to sweat your onions or your shallots, and that's what we're doing now. So they are now almost translucent, and that's pretty good. That's what we want. We're going to add the butter, so a good tablespoon. Anyway, butter, you can put butter in there. There's no problem. It's butter was the enemy long time ago, and it becomes okay now. Cholesterol is not the enemy anymore. And with butter, everything is better. You know that. All right. So the butter is melting. It smells fantastic, let me tell you. And we're going to add the fennel. You're going to sweat the fennel again with the onion for about like 4 to 5 minutes. They really have to become not mushy. You still want to have a little bit of crunchiness, but they need to be cooked. Right? Before we add the white wine, we're going to add salt and pepper. You can also add a little bit of chili pepper, like piment d'Espelette. It's not traditional, but it's pretty good. And we're going to let them caramelize. It's going to take, as I said, 4 to 5 minutes before it starts having a little bit of color. No sugar added, no honey added. This is a cream that we want to fill or to test like it has that fennel flavor. Now we're going to look at the fennel. You can see it's ready to get the white wine. It has a little color, not too much, but just what we are looking for. That's perfect. The casserole is very hot, so the white one is going to start reducing right away. You use a dry white wine, nothing sweet, nothing fancy, nothing expensive, but drinkable white wine, not the cheap stuff that you said is a cooking wine in store. Don't buy that, but buy a cheap white wine. It will be fine, that is dry. Okay, white wine now. I don't incorporate all of it at the same time, so the first, usually half of the glass is gone as soon as you add the second one, so you got more flavor. And you let the white wine boil, and like maybe 1 minute. So why we do that is mostly for reducing, so you have a strong flavor, less acidity, but also for the alcohol to go away in the steam. It smells great. And if you have glasses, don't do that. Now we have the cream in there. You put it on low heat for the cream to start melting. And we're going to cook it on low for about 4 to 5 minutes. Then we control salt and pepper. We put it aside for the infusion. It's very important to not serve something that you've done right away. Just wait a little bit. The flavors melt or get together and you have a better finish at the end. So we're just going to do that. Check for salt and pepper in 4 or 5 minutes. So we come back to you soon. Our cream has reduced to what we're looking for. We don't want to have a bechamel, like something very thick, but we also need to have a sauce with a body. So now I'm very satisfied with the reduction. I'm going to turn that down. We test, very important. There is no good chef that doesn't test his food. You know, this is not me who's saying that. It's late Paul Bocuse. He was saying that chefs should test their food more often and the food will be better in restaurant, and he's so right. So take a little bit of that, be careful to not burn yourself, so you can test if the fennel is cooked enough and if the cream has enough salt, pepper. We're close to perfect. A bit of salt, a bit more pepper. I like pepper a lot. I don't think it's perfect now. We're going to put that on the side and we come back to you with the fish. The fennel cream is ready. Now we're going to sear the fish for 5 minutes on both sides. If it's really thick, that's what you're looking for. Monkfish, I like to keep it like almost medium rare, hard cook of course, but almost medium rare. If you do it longer, it loses a lot of water, but also it becomes a little elastic. If you use a different fish, well, find out how to cook it just to the perfect point, not too much. The pan is hot. Now we're going to turn it on medium heat. You add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter. We're going to add more butter later, but for the moment, this is what we want. And you press a little bit of fish so it gets seared very well. Because all the fish has a lot of nerve inside. So if you sear the fish too much, too fast, it'll shrink. So it's good to keep it on the side that is going to be seen, the upper side, to get a nice coloration on it. Now that you see in there, we're going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. We are going to put it on low heat now, so you don't want to cook it too fast. We've been cooking that fish on the same side for 2 or 3 minutes. Now we're going to check underneath if you start to have a nice caramelization color, and we're going to flip it over. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So we're going to put it that way, the other one too. And same thing, 2 or 3 minutes on that side, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. We're going to wait 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to show you something that we did feeding the fish. We're going to add a little bit of more butter, turning the heat on almost low, on very low, and the butter is going to melt, and we're going to feed the fish with that butter. So it will increase the flavor, and having a little bit of fat in the fish will get you a better result at the end. Very shiny but very tasty fish. So the fish is almost ready. You can see because there is some white pearl of juice coming on top. It's actually when the fish is medium rare. You can see that coming, and that's perfect. You can see those small little things there. We're going to check on the other side. It has a nice color everywhere. That's perfect. So I was telling you that we're going to feed the fish, and this is what we do. We had a little bit of butter there, and we let the butter melt. So I'm going to turn a little higher. And this is what you do. Take that and you put on top of it. And you do that for 1 minute to be sure that all that beautiful butter has fed the fish. The butter is not only the butter anymore, because it's the juice from the fish, is the oil at the beginning, the salt, the pepper, so all that great quality product of you that you spend money on, because fish is expensive, especially monkfish. Even if monkfish used to be not that popular in the US long time ago. It's an interesting fish. You might have seen the fish, you Google it when it has been fished. The head is huge and the tail is pretty small. And long time ago, I'm going to turn it down now to let the fish finish cooking inside the pan. Long time ago, they were throwing away the tail in Boston where the fish was fished because they thought that the consistency of the tail was not interesting. You know, we also named that fish the poor man lobster because he has almost the same consistency than a cooked lobster. So they were throwing away the tail and they were keeping the head to make soup because it's very gelatinous, and also the two cheeks that they have are very flavorful and they melt in your mouth, but the tail was not popular. We know better now, so we keep the entire fish and we heat everything on it. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to put that on the side and we come back to you after the commercial. I'm going to come back to you for the finishing part. Now the rice is cooked, the fennel, the fish. Get a nice plate and try to make some the shape of an oval, because so it will marry very well with the shape of the fish. Put a chunk of fish on top of it. And the fennel cream. So you don't need about 2 or 3 tablespoons. Or maybe not. Maybe 1 is enough. Try to keep it well on top of the rest, like this is perfect. Always have a clean plate. And you take this. Et voila. So, simple, straight to the point of the flavor of the fish and the flavor of the fennel. Now it's time to enjoy your fish. Beautiful, healthy, very tasty. Good glass of wine, Life is fantastic. Thank you for listening and watching us. And bon appétit!